Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to review NRL Fantasy for round 7 of the 2024 NRL season. What worked out to be quite a great week for us. As you can see, actually you can't see because it's on round 8. So we scored 851 points for round 7, which was good enough for a top 2,000 rank for the round, and catapulted us up into 13,421 overall, which I think, based on our round 6 rank, is pretty close to halving our rank. So to do that this late in the season, although there's obviously still a lot of season to go, but jumping up, after 6 rounds, getting, halving our score in 1 week is pretty nice. So as we can see, we had Harry Grant with a 43, who's probably a bit below average at the moment, but not one we want to trade off on because we don't want to miss it when he does go off. Willison with a 38 was solid again. Cotter with a 46, doing his job, and Josh Curran with a 47 obviously benefited from a few more minutes, but we know he can pump them out and do the business. Finny Filiaki with 41 and Sean Bloor with 56, so our edges, doing quite well, but giving us a bit of value. But the obvious star of the show was Nico Hines with his 89. So obviously as captain, that worked out really well for us. Lockie Galvin with a 35 was about as good as we could expect against Penrith, but he's making money, he's doing all right. Aero with 37 and Strange with a 35. So again, obviously Strange in a well-beaten team will take 35. Aero would have been nice to get a little bit more scoring given how well the Sharks went, but we'll take what we can get. Tommy Turbo with a 50. So I know a lot of people did captain him in Supercoach in particular. Maybe not so much fantasy, but he looked like he had potential to get a few more points. It just didn't quite work out for him. Pappenhausen with the 31, again a bit flat, but I guess the Roosters and Storm was always going to be a bit of a defensive type slog, so probably about right. And Kiraz with a 48. Obviously the Dogs looked really good yesterday against the Knights, but I didn't actually see the game. I was listening on the radio, saw the highlights, and that was enough to sort of show how dominant they were. Lussick with a 28 on the bench was a little bit disappointing, given that he scored much better in Supercoach format. So one we might have to look at moving on. Salmon with a 40 has obviously benefited from playing on the edge, so I will keep taking the cash on offer while it's available. Tommy Chester with a 35, so a solid return from, again, someone in a well-beaten team. So we'll take that. And Jack Bostock, we sort of played as our first iteration of the loophole, and 63 points was a pretty easy decision to make. So, obviously if we could have got Hughes' 46 for, say, Lussick would have been nice, but it doesn't work like that. And Chevy Stewart with a 10. So I guess we're hoping he just keeps his spot. That's his main sort of selling point, is the job security. So I guess in terms of trades this week, if we go to round 8, so I guess the obvious sort of thing is to look at the amount of Bulldogs players we have. So if we just do some switcheroos, let's hope Cleary plays so we can get him on the park. Bostock can come on for Kiraz. And so then we just swap Stewart. Yep. So we do have 17, assuming everyone gets up and plays. We're talking to you, Nathan Cleary. So it is possible to hang on to these guys. A lot of people might say, well, try to, trade a couple of them out, give yourself some numbers. But the reality is, after this week, the Dogs have a really great bye schedule. They miss round 15 and round 19. So obviously round 19 will be one of the Origin weeks. but basically they cover round 13 and 14 as well as round 16 and 17. So those first 4 weeks during the origin period where things are a bit tough, they do have really good coverage. Obviously, again, you'd have a situation where you'd be hoping that your other 17 are playing on round 15. Then, obviously, round 19, you only need 13 anyway. Um, so, I mean, if we can hang on to them, and especially given, you look at their scores, they're all sort of 40s. So, for Salmon and Hughes, that means making cash. For Kiraz and Curran, potentially those sort of useful keeper slash in Curran's case, probably a good sort of bench rotation option. So I think if we can avoid it, we're going to try to hang on to these guys. In saying that, there is a couple of nice cheapy options this week, given the long-term injuries to Fogarty and Kalen Ponga. So if we trade out Lussick, potentially expendable and, a little bit of loss in money. So, good time to get off the ship. So, I guess the first option is KO Weeks, given that it sounds like he's just going to slot in for Fogarty. Obviously, it's not ideal for the Raiders to not have an organising half there with, it'd be Weeks and Strange in the halves. But I mean, if there was going to be one club where you could get away with not having a specialist seven, it would probably be the Raiders, given that they've got one of the best of all time in Ricky Stewart coaching them. So, he'll come up with a plan to get these guys going in the halves. So, you know, everyone was pretty hot on KO Weeks at the start of the year. He just needed a bit of, game time, and it looks like he's going to get that. So, can see him being a very popular trade in this week. The other one, and this is a little bit more speculative, we do need to see team lists, but there's been a bit of chat that David Armstrong is going to come in to replace Ponga. So there's talk about potentially Gagai going to the back. Um, I guess also they did play Gamble there as a stopgap, but if Cogger is fit, I haven't really been tracking Jack Cogger to be honest. They may even just go with Gamble in the fullback spot. But from what it sounds like, this kid's been playing in the what's it called? New South Wales Cup. I couldn't think of the name. At fullback, so it could just be a straight swap. And I guess if we get someone at 230k, playing fullback for the Knights, I think we've got to absolutely get on that. The question would then be, who else do we get rid of? Given the rest of our squad, we've got the likes of Grant. Don't want to get rid of him yet. Willison's making money. Cotter is a gun. May have to trade him out at Origin, but we don't want to let him go yet. Similar with Murray. Finny Filiaki and Blore making money. Hines and Cleary obviously keepers. Iro Strange both making money. Tom Travojevic, gun. Pappenhausen is probably we did sort of buy him as a cut price gun. Bostock's making money, so we're not trading him. Galvin's making money. Chester's making money, and Chevy Stewart, he's still got money to make. Obviously, he hasn't gone off yet, but there's going to be, I think there's going to be a game where he does. So, I mean, if you sort of want to back out of the Stewart pick, I couldn't blame you. But then, we're starting to dip into our Bulldog reserves. But I just think, the value is pretty good if these two guys both play. We may have to find a way to get them both in. So I guess potentially what that could look like. Um, and this may be a little bit controversial, but just given we've got, a bit of coverage in our centres with Tom Chester, wing fullback is obviously going to be well covered. We could get out of Kiraz. Again, not ideal. But what this would then facilitate is, and I guess, we'll confirm those trades. But then I guess if we did want to go really exotic and super aggressive, and it could even be Chevy Stewart, given the amount of cash that we bank from these sort of downgrades. But obviously, that's our ticket to Sean Johnson, who has been our identified target to bring in through the middle of the season. Um, yeah, so and it could even be like we just get out of a Sam Hughes, who he's going to make some money, but that's another avenue to get him in. I'm just sort of suggesting that we could do something like this. So it is dependent on team list. Obviously, yeah, it always changes the order of things, but probably Lussick to Weeks is the first option this week, and then I guess, hang on, what if we? I mean, even if we, it's going to roll back the whole team, but Lussick to Weeks, if we just quickly redo that, that gives us 380k. So if we did want to go straight to Johnson, not even worry about Armstrong, or say it was like a Dane Gagai got moved to fullback at 508k. Again, it does sort of point to it'd have to be a Kiraz, I think, would have to make way unless you wanted to start to, offload some of these Origin guys like a Cotter or a Murray. I guess he's probably got a high break even given that low score before the bye. So it could be like, yeah, Murray or something to start making that happen. Guess the other one is Payne Haas isn't far off coming back in, but again, he's another one that plays the Origin. So I guess with all the sort of trades we've been burning through, it might not be the worst week to just sort of hold firm. Maybe the one trade just to chase a bit of value. We'll have a free look at Armstrong against the Dolphins and see how that works out. Could be the go. But before we wrap up, I should go through the league. I always forget. But this week it was a bit of an easy one. So we got a bit of a ghost here with Cam's Mad Lads. So got 450 as you can see. Had Tino, Lenu, Burbo, Cleary. So obviously someone who had a good team to start the year and then has quickly forgotten about it. So yeah, not too much to report on there. We'll have a look across the full league, I suppose. Um, if I can remember how to do that, I can never work my way around this system. So let's have a look through. So Big Keith with an 829. So did I get the highest score in this league? How good am I going? So we'll have a look at Big Keith's 829 because that was pretty close. Pat Carrigan is VC with the 69 is pretty handy addition in the team. May with 32 was a bit flat. Kai Pierce Paul with 56, he's looked really good. Probably one that has got away from us, but it happens. Crichton with a 46, solid. Captain Hines, so I think that was the key to a big score this week, was captaining Nico. I had Kiraz as well with his 48. Yeah, played the Dogs, so great call there, Keefe, doing the job. I'll go back. That goes back to round 8. So I think there was another couple, so 824, 821. And then after that, not too much to report. So we'll just we'll go back to the team. So as I said, we'll do a bit of analysis in our tops, chops, traps, and slaps video, just looking at those options, particularly in our halves and our wing fullback, where a lot of us had Fogarty and Ponga. I'm pretty lucky I had neither. But I guess that sort of goes some way to explaining this rank. So we'll look at that then. Obviously, Wednesday night or early Thursday morning, we'll look at the round preview, given that we do have a few games on Anzac Day. So it's a little bit earlier than usual. But yeah, other than that, If you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below the video. If you enjoy the NRL fantasy content, remember to give us a like. Subscribe for all the fantasy content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.